CitrusTV News presents the Student Association Executive Debate. Live from the Syracuse University National Veterans Resource Center.
ESF Executive Debate in partnership with CitrusTV. I would first like to acknowledge with respect the Onondaga Nation, the firekeepers of the Haudenosaunee, the indigenous peoples on whose ancestral land Syracuse University now stands. My name is Caroline Ridge, and I am the chair of the Board of Elections for the Student Association. Thank you all for joining us tonight to hear directly from the candidates about their vision for student life at our university. I would like to thank CitrusTV for their continued partnership in hosting this debate annually, our support in student engagement, especially Ann Lombard and Kelly Mullen, and all the members of the Board of Elections for the time and effort they put into making this event a success. Without them, none of this would be possible. Before we begin, please note that in the event of emergency, the exits can be found in the back of the auditorium and on the sides located under the exit signs. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation.
Caroline, thank you. Well, good evening and welcome to the 2025 Student Association Executive Debate here at the National Veterans Resource Center, presented by CitrusTV. I'm Peter Elliot.
And I'm Ronnie Parrillo. Tonight we'll be hearing from the candidates for President, Vice President, and Comptroller. The college experience is defined by new opportunities, the ability to meet new people and to try new things. It expands horizons. For many students, clubs and extracurriculars are the most significant part of their years spent on campus, shaping who they are both personally and professionally.
These activities that shape the collegiate experience for students are overseen by Student Association, an organization that is responsible for the extracurriculars and the multi-million-dollar budget that funds them. Amid a turbulent time for higher education in which academic freedom and administrative operations are in the spotlight, the role of independent, effective student government is as important as ever. Tonight we'll hear about the Student Association's plans to work on behalf of undergraduate students here at SU.
Now, please join us in welcoming the candidate for Comptroller, Alexis Leach.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, members of the administration, staff, and fellow students. Thank you all for being here tonight for this debate. Your engagement is what makes our student body strong, and I truly appreciate your time. My name is Alexis Leach, and I'm honored to serve as the Comptroller for the 68th session of Student Association here at Syracuse University. I'm pursuing a double major in accounting and business analytics, and while also serving as a university senator, a Whitman ambassador, a model for the marketing department, and I also work for Dinosaur Barbecue. So you can either see me on the side of I-81 on a billboard or slinging plates of brisket. A year ago, I stood on this stage, nervous, inexperienced, and unable to watch my own debate afterwards. Even today, admittedly, I still haven't. But looking back, I recognize that the person that stood here then was one of the bravest versions of myself that I've ever seen. This past year has brought unprecedented issues. We faced a budget shortfall due to overallocation and economic changes, which significantly impacted on the student activity fee. As someone new to this role, I made plenty of mistakes, but I own up to each one, learning and growing along the way. I want to thank the student body for your patience, understanding, and trust. I wouldn't be standing here again if not for the students and organizations I've had the privilege to serve. Even in moments of conflict, I've learned to appreciate the deep passion each student has for their organization. I look forward to continuing to develop new allocation processes, restructuring fiscal agent trainings, improving communication strategies, and revising fiscal policies to create a stronger, more transparent financial system for our organizations. I especially want to thank my finance board for their dedication and resilience. We started the year with $100,000 in fall semester allocations, $150,000 for spring advanced allocations, and $31,000 for spring semester allocations. Despite our challenges, we worked through countless hours of meetings and difficult decisions. And to the more senior members especially, your support has meant everything to me. I look forward to discussing these initiatives further throughout this debate. My commitment to serving the Syracuse University community remains as strong as ever, and I'm excited about the opportunity to continue this journey with all of you. Thank you.
Alexis, thank you for that opening statement. We'll have 8 minutes for questions. Let's start here with something you mentioned in your opening statement. You said last year you came into this position with no previous student government experience. What did you learn over this last year?
I can't even begin to tell you what I've learned over this year. I think the biggest thing was being able to put myself out there and be vulnerable in these situations, especially when there are things that I don't know and I don't understand. So I have had so much support between my advisors, Ann Lombard, Kelly Mullen, Allison LeClaire. They have worked with me every step of the way, even for the most ridiculous questions that I have had. I can't thank enough Herman, Reed Granger. They have been some of the most supportive people to push me through this. And these times are hard. We came into this year and we weren't expecting what we had. And we couldn't put the blame on anybody, and we just had the opportunity to move forward and fix the challenges that we faced. So I would say, being a newcomer, was it easy? Absolutely not. There were so many things that I didn't understand until I was in the thick of this situation, and it has made me into a stronger, more resilient person who can honestly take anything that comes her way. And I will say one of the hardest challenges was working with students face-to-face in this position, because I am not above anybody. I am equal to all of you. So I want to sit here and I wanted to work on a person-to-person level rather than me being comptroller and you guys running a student organization. So it was really about like the humanization of this role and seeing what it has to offer.
So Alexis, you have the responsibility of overseeing a multi-million-dollar budget every year. How can you ensure that students trust your ability to handle such a large amount of money, often paid in by their families?
Yeah, absolutely. So it comes down to financial transparency. I feel like this year there wasn't as much as needed, and people were unsure of what happened. And that's where it comes in. Like, we need to be open, have these conversations about what our money is going to, whether or not we are facing this shortfall, even though it wasn't an unprecedented shortfall. We had pre-COVID numbers. During COVID, obviously, there weren't any events or organizations throwing anything, requesting budgets. So we had a surplus. And we were told to use that surplus by the university because it is unethical to keep students' money in that account for years past the time that they have been here. So now we are coming back to these pre-COVID numbers. We're right exactly where we need to be. And it just comes down to being open and honest and having these conversations about what happened to our money last year, what will happen to it this year, and what we're doing to prevent that. And we've taken a lot of steps to prevent what happened this year from happening again. And I'm very proud of the work that we have done.
Alexis, the Daily Orange reported last month that Student Association proposed changes to the university's fiscal code. The proposed changes would redirect money from rollover funds to RSOs and cap organizations at 3 events a year. Why do you feel that is a needed change?
So we are capping the same image likeness, like if you think about an NIL deal, we do have a lot of organizations requesting for the same event. So in the past, we allowed up to 8 of the same events, but we realized that a lot of these organizations were putting in 8 of the events. They were perfect budgets. We were going to approve them, but there were other organizations who were not receiving that same amount of money, same amount of acceptance of their budget. So we decided that in our best interest and in the university's best interest, we weren't going to have events over 3 that are of the same name, image, likeness, purpose, to be able to allocate money towards other events, other funding that hasn't happened in the past before, and seeing what other organizations can do with these funds rather than the same organizations requesting. And we still want them to have their events because they're amazing events, and we don't want to take that away from them, but we feel 3 is a perfect number to be able to throw on the same event a few times, have it be a success, and continue on into the next year and continue to throw those events.
If I could follow up on that question,
Yeah.
Have you had any student organizations who disagree with that proposal so far?
So far, I've not heard of any organizations who disagree with that. I know there are a few organizations who do request for the same event, and I think it's going to just come down to being creative, collaborating with other organizations, and thinking outside the box of what you can do to put on this event. So collaboration is one of the big things that we're stressing with other organizations, because if you collaborate with another organization, you can have a different sense of purpose to your event, and it won't be the same thing. But it really comes down to being creative with what we have and what we're going to be doing.
So Alexis, in the previous session, the association received over $800,000 in requests from RSOs. That's more than 3 times the budget. So with over 250 recognized student organizations, how will you make sure that you're appropriately distributing those funds to all of them?
Yeah, so we faced that conflict this year. During the spring advanced allocations, there was $800,000 to be allocated, and we only had $250,000 to work with. So obviously that is a very hard decision and a lot of time spent. I will say the finance board meeting that we had was probably 5 to 6 hours long. We really sat and deliberated on what was for the good of the university. We also sat down and we made a rubric about things that have happened on this campus that have happened before, what they mean to the campus, like things that we can't take away, and like what it would mean if we did. So when it comes down to all these things, it's just like, what can we do? What can we do to fix it?
Alexis, in your role as comptroller, how do you work with the rest of Student Association?
Yeah, so I will say Herman and Reed and I, we have some of the most amazing communication I've ever seen from an executive team. It doesn't matter, like, we have boundaries, but it doesn't matter what time of night it is. If there's a question to be had, there's a discussion to go through, we sit down and we have it. And one thing I love about this administration is that people are called out for their mistakes, but it's more of, I'm calling you out to fix it. Like, I want to work with you to fix this problem, and every person in this organization has been there for me through every step of the way, and I've been there for them as well. So realistically, it's just about having these open communications and talks about what's going on in our campus and how we can fix it, and this administration has done that very well. I think there's been a lot of change made in the last year comparatively to what has happened before, especially communication-wise. And we know that there's obviously things that need to continue. I can say on my end for the finance board, like, we did have a little bit of a lack of communication this year. It was hard. Emails are not the best, I will say. Not a lot of people check their emails, but realistically, I appreciate the open conversations that we've had and the willingness to fix every issue that has arisen. We don't argue, we conflict resolute. It's really, really that.
Well, the position of comptroller has been uncontested for a number of years, and I want to ask you about that. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's been so uncontested for this many years?
I think it's a very hard and unforgiving position. It takes a lot to be put up here and have this level of eyes on you and sit down and realize like what you need to prioritize, especially between school, I know for myself, school, my extracurricular activities, my job, and then this position. So there's a lot to it, and you have a lot of people coming at you, asking what's happening, what's going on with my budget, and there's a lot to it. There's the entire fiscal processes that you have to understand really deep down, and what precedents have been set and what haven't, what needs to be changed. And I understand like the reason why this role has been uncontested, because it is hard, but every step of the way I've had support to be able to push me forward and continue like what I want to do in this job and see what role, like how this role can come into fruition.
Do you think there's anything you or Student Association can do to make that role more appealing to other students wanting to get involved?
I think it really comes down to telling students like exactly what this role entails, like being in the spotlight, like talking to others, like having conflict. I think the hardest part is conflict resolution, because as students, it's very hard to go to each other one-to-one and be like, hey, I don't like how you did this. And when you actually start to have those conversations, people are more likely to come into this position and want to be here. I know that it was hard for me at first, just being able to like have that burden like put on me of like, is this my fault? Is this not my fault? But realizing that this is not a role that you take personally. I think that was my biggest thing. I was definitely taking a lot of the things that were happening very personally, but it's just about like understanding this role and like what it actually has to offer for this university. It's a big job, but it's amazing, and I don't regret any step of the way.
Alexis, you now have time, if you so choose, for a 2-minute closing statement.
Absolutely. All right. So, as we wrap up tonight's debate, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude to the administration, staff, my fellow candidates, CitrusTV, the members of NVRC, and most importantly, the students who make this all possible, who make this university what it is. Your passion, your engagement, and your dedication to your organizations and communities are what drive me to serve in this role. This past year has been one of immense growth, learning, and resilience. I've faced challenges head-on, taken responsibility for every obstacle, and worked tirelessly to improve the financial systems that support our student organizations. I've listened, I've learned, and I've led with transparency and accountability. But my work isn't done. There's still so much more to accomplish, and I'm eager to continue building a financial system that is fair, transparent, and supportive of every student and organization on this campus. My commitment to you, to fiscal responsibility, to open communication, and to ensuring every student has access to the resources they need remains unwavering. I hope to earn your trust and your vote to continue this important work. Thank you for your time, your questions, and your dedication to making Syracuse University a stronger, more united community.
Alexis, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that was Alexis Leach, the incumbent Student Association Comptroller, now seeking a second term. Coming up after the break, we'll hear from our presidential and vice presidential candidates. Stay with us here on Citrus TV.
You're watching the Student Association Executive Debate, presented by Citrus TV.
Welcome back to the 2025 Student Association Executive Debate presented by Citrus TV. It's now time to hear from the presidential and vice presidential candidates. The rules for this round are similar. We'll have time for the candidates to introduce themselves, 16 minutes for questions, followed by a lightning round, and eventually closing statements from the candidates.
Since this race is uncontested, the candidates will have as much time as they'd like to answer the questions. Before we begin the question portion, we will give you guys the opportunity to introduce yourselves now. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much. Before anything, I want to start by thanking the Board of Elections, Citrus TV, administration, and the National Banner Center for staff for putting this event together. And to everyone watching at home or here, thank you for showing up, for believing in the power of student voices, and for investing in the future of our university. 2 minutes is hardly enough to capture the depth of our vision, the urgency of our mission, and the passion that drives us. But let me start with this. We are here not because nobody dared to, but because we believe leadership takes people who are invested in their communities. We believe that leadership is not about a title, it's about service, about showing up, and about turning words into actions.
Coming from Miami and sharing an understanding of diverse backgrounds, Germán and I have always shared a common purpose. That common purpose, to create a Syracuse University that empowers, uplifts, and represents every student on this campus. We have spent our days on this campus turning ideas into impact, making campus more accessible, advocating for mental health resources, and bringing back traditions, all while ensuring that no student goes unheard. Our work is not yet finished, and our vision not complete. And that is why we stand before you today, not just to seek re-election, but more importantly, to reaffirm our commitment to a vision for all.
A vision where leadership is no longer about who's already sitting at the table, but pulling up a chair for students who are waiting to be heard, students waiting to be seen.
When I first stepped foot on this campus, I knew I wanted to make a difference. And from my time as a university senator to leading the Office of Government and Community Affairs, to being president of an RSO, to now being elected student body president, I have spent every moment fighting for students, challenging the status quo and pushing this university forward.
From leading the Caribbean Student Association to serving as Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, I have worked tirelessly to ensure that all students feel seen. I have organized cultural events, advocating for student needs, and bridged the gap between administration and student organizations. I know the needs of students because I was on the ground, listening, learning, and making change happen, and I still am. A leader must know how to follow, but a leader must also must know how to learn and how to serve, whether in student association or in the Caribbean Student Association or in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I have worked to ensure that every student feels valued and represented. I have stood with students in times of celebrations, but also in times of struggles. I know what it takes to make this campus a place where all students feel like they belong, and I am ready to continue this fight. But we cannot do it alone. We need you with us every step of the way.
Janissa and I have spent countless hours developing a plan to be prepared for day one of the next session as student president and student vice president. We understand the weight of this role better than anyone does, and no one has fought harder to make a student association more accessible and to make students' concern a priority and not an afterthought. No one is more prepared than Janissa and I to continue this work. We're not just here to ask for your vote, we're asking for your trust, your partnership, and your belief in a vision for all. A Syracuse where every student belongs, every voice matters, and every dream has a place to thrive. Together, let's finish the work that we started. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. I want to start with a question about something that's happening on the national stage. Recently, executive orders aimed at quelling, at times, violent protests on college campuses have been signed into law by President Trump. What is Student Association's position on these orders?
Thank you. That's a great question. So we want to start by saying that we fully agree and we understand as a student and as a leader students in this campus that some of the most important movements in history have started in college campuses. And student has always been at the forefront of change, and that shouldn't change. And student association would always be in support of peaceful protests. But the one thing that we need you to know as students is that we have a direct seat at the table. We have a direct connection with administration, and our job is to always advocate for students. So if you feel that there's a need for protests in this campus, your first resource should always be the student association because we have that direct connection with administration. And our job is to advocate for your needs, and if you feel the need to protest, is that your voice is being heard, and we're here to make sure that your voices are being heard.
Yeah, I think overall we want the students to understand that if they're protesting, we want to know why. We want to be on the grounds. We want to be involved with them and be involved with their actions and really be one with them in their peaceful protests, as Hedman said.
I do want to follow up on that. How have communications been on this issue with Syracuse University?
So not only in this issue, with every other issue currently going on nationally, we have been in constant conversations with administration in the different offices that manage each of the different issues, making sure that the students are communicated about how changes can affect them, and that us as student leaders are well advised in how to deal with some of these really complex issues. So yes, again, we're in constant communication with administration, and we're making sure that these changes are communicated to students if they're affecting them in any way.
You guys mentioned that you want to be kind of in lockstep with protests, knowing why they're happening. But we have seen some instances where these protests have turned hateful and violent. What are the first steps that you take if a protest does turn this corner?
I want to start by saying that, again, we'll continue advocating for those affected in any way. When it comes to any type of hate or hate speech or racial discrimination, we need to make sure, as a student association, there's not a place for any type of hate in any form, in any way. We will stand on that ground always. We support peaceful protests. We support the peaceful way of showing your rights in this country, but we also have zero tolerance for any type of hate speech.
the biography you shared with us and your introduction just now, you emphasized the importance of your values and how much diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, means to you. Recently, there has been those executive orders mandating those programs be wiped from college campuses. How do you feel about how SU, as a university, has responded to these orders?
Yes, we maintain an open line of communication with the university administration to stay aligned with DEI initiatives. And so our commitment to the mission and values of this organization, not just Student Association, but Syracuse University as a whole, I think that not only have they been very informative and they want to talk to the students, but I think that they understand that we are affected greatly by this, especially not only the DEI community on campus, but I think all students are affected, whether you see your friends are going through something or you yourself. And so I think that the university has provided very up-to-date and transparent information, and I think we can improve on that and we can continue to build on that. But I think that overall, the constant line of communication that we have had with administration has been very open and transparent with the new legislation that has been created with the DEI office.
And coming from that, I just want to add that we follow all of the news, not only our team in the Student Association, also administration, we're in constant communication with them. But when it comes to this issue, we do have a direct communication with administration, but one of our main priorities in conversations with them is to make sure that how they're communicating the changes to students and how they are gonna take a step as administration to inform students if they're getting affected in any way by any of the changes, and just be one step ahead of any change and understanding how can we also communicate this to students and be on their side always.
Well, we just heard from Alexis Leach, the current comptroller seeking another term. I want to ask the two of you, how will you work with your counterparts to ensure that there is always fiscal transparency in student association?
For sure. So transparency have been one of our biggest issues this year. And I think the one outcome that I feel that every student should understand is that the money the Student Association manage, this multi-million-dollar account that you guys refer, is not a Student Association's money, this is students' money. This is everyone's money. We all put money, we all pay their fees in order to have events, and we accept that there's a transparency issue in this organization, but I want to say that we're working every day to make sure that those issues are affected and finding ways to communicate better with students. As Alexis was saying, a lot of students doesn't read email, so we're trying to figure out ways through social media, like we started doing weekly updates, and weekly updates from the Finance Board and Assembly. We're also making sure that our registered student organizations understand the importance of being involved in student association. As we understand our problems with transparency, we also want to make people understand that engagement goes both ways. And yes, there's been a lot of conversations about how these budgets and Finance Board decisions have been affected campus, but it's not as much as, I haven't received as much conversation with students as I would have loved to, and as how much this topic was controversial in campus. So our doors are open, and we have an open door policy in Student Association, and we're making sure, we also did town halls for our RSOs, making sure that they understand the full picture on how we got to the year, how we finished, and how we plan to fix some of the problems.
Herman, over the last year, you served alongside Vice President Reed Granger. This year, Janice, you're hoping to step into that role as Vice President. Why do you feel like you are qualified to serve on the SA executive?
Yes. So I am currently an RA, a resident advisor. I also serve currently with Student Association as the Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I run an RSO, the Caribbean Student Association, and I have also been a brand ambassador for Syracuse University. And I think all of the mesh of these different positions have not only given me knowledge on the campus, but also I am passionate about Student Association and the work that we do here in the organization. I think it's a hard question to answer why I'm, capable, but qualified. But not only do all of my qualifications lead to that, but genuinely my passion for the role, and I know what I'm doing. I stood in the same shoes as many of these student organizations for a long time, and so coming into this role, I have that same knowledge, but in a more elevated way. And so I want to be a resource, and I want to continue to do this work in a way that's benefiting not only myself, but so many of the students on campus.
Now, Herman, you are seeking to return to your current position, but reflecting back on the last 12 months, what are you most proud of, and what is the most important lesson that you've learned in your position?
Thank you. I think that's a beautiful question. I always said that student association has been one of the biggest challenges I've done in my life. I feel the fact that you have to understand a lot of different issues and understanding the different layers that goes into those issues has been a blessing. I feel not only the professional development, but just the personal development that this position have gave me is invaluable. To answer your question, I think some of the most proud initiative and stuff that we have done this year, I feel, as your question was a little bit before about our budget situation, I feel that our administration being the one who were able to get us out of that situation and plan for a better future with us having to get back to those problems has been one of our biggest accomplishments. And also there's just regular initiatives like the landing closet, and in this research on how to figure out where our money's going, what are we actually paying, what are the different problems that our store are having with with the finance board. One of the ideas that come to the table is the landing closet. That is a new initiative that we decided to build with student engagement and the partnership of all of the student engagement office to build a closet where organizations can come. We rented some of the most requested items for RSOs, and now organizations can come and just request this for free. And instead of, let's say that you need a tablecloth or you need a stage for your event, you can now come and request it for free because this was prepaid for student association instead of paying a company that we're hiring, that we have to pay rent, contracts, etc. And on top of that, of course, there's many other initiatives like the continual work that we have done from past initiatives, such as the grocery buses taking students to groceries every weekend to get fresh groceries. Also, initiatives such as new initiatives such as the ACC and New York State Student Government Coalition, use a way to connect more the different student governments around the country and around the state. But of course, again, there's a lot of things to still work on, or I feel, as I said before, our biggest weakness is right now is transparency and how to make sure that students understand not only the work that we're doing, but also to understand that we are research for all of them.
Student Association represents undergraduate students here on campus, but we also share this campus with graduate students. There are now over 1,000 members of the Syracuse Graduate Employees United, which has formed over the last year. What is Student Association's working relationship with that union?
So in Student Association, we have a liaison for all of the major councils or student governments that there's around. We work really closely with the GSO, the Graduate Student Union, GSA, and we also work with the Bar Student Association. And our job is to making sure that this position, first of all, is filled, and not only those graduate students, also MOSA, Mighty Ox, and ESF. We have a really great relationship with the ESF government, and again, our job is to make sure that those relationships are always there, those positions are always filled, and we, as the biggest amount of people in campus as undergraduate students, I feel that we have a little bit more to say and a little bit more to act, and it's our job as administration to make sure that we're putting one step forward to make this connection with the other organizations and different students in campus.
We want to move now to a bit about public safety here on campus. Last month, an armed robbery took place near the BBB residence hall just before midnight while a student was walking home. How is SA working to ensure that there are safe transportation options for students returning home from late-night classes or activities?
So we understand that this is an issue for many, and so not only have we been in, we have for Student Association, we have a forum called No Problem Too Small, and so on that forum, students can write feedback or just concerns that they have, and I think a big concern we have is actually transportation. And so in order to kind of tackle this issue, we feel as though, sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
Sure, yeah. How is SA working to ensure that there are safe transportation options for students returning home late at night?
Yes.
So coming from No Problem Too Small, we collect feedback from students in every issue, not only in their safety, also in their transportation system. In the past, having experience from 3 years now in Student Association, transportation has always been one of our top issues. This year, during all of our research and feedback that we have got from students, transportation was not even in top 5. We do understand that there's still a lot to work on. We do understand that our job is to advocate for students, and we have a great relationship with administration and the Department of Transportation, working in different initiatives. We actually have a meeting with them coming up soon just to check on some of the current resources and some of the changes that they have been working on. So again, we'll continue working the work that we're doing.
Thanks so much. Herman, last year our CitrusTV moderators asked you what you thought the biggest shortcoming of student association was. You answered that it was communication. Over the last year, what steps have you taken to improve communication with the student body?
Oh, thank you. So yes, I still strongly believe that is one of the main problems that this organization has. A lot of students don't know what student association is. A lot of students don't understand the impact and power that we can have on their college experience. So one of the first problems that Reed, my current vice president, and I identified was that there's not enough engagement with students, and students don't understand that we are research for everyone. And I feel that was born out of communication. That was born out of the way that we were handling social media. That was born out of the way that we're putting ourselves as executive with the campus, putting our organization, our team members to work with students. Some of the things that we have done to fix that issue, first of all, we have prioritized RSO collaboration in every single of our events. We have tried to be as possible of try to not do any type of events that is just student association. There's always some type of collaboration with departments or RSO in campus. Also, we have worked with our social media team. We have expanded our social media team. We're currently under the direction of the amazing Maria Fernanda Quiñones that manage a team over 7 people that coming from photographers, PR directors, social media management, and they all have worked so hard to make sure that the students are understanding what we're doing. We have grown a lot in this past couple of months, but there's still a lot to do, and that's why we're here to say that the work's not done.
On that note of communication, we know it can be tough to get students to even check their emails, let alone vote in elections. How would you like to improve turnout among students?
Yes, so first I want to say that the fact that we're not only us, also our controller candidates, that we're the only ones here standing doesn't represent the democratic values that this organization had and should have. We do understand that this position takes a lot from students, and I can testify that myself, but I feel that in order to get to that 10% of student voting, that it should be right now for us has been a goal, and I don't think 10% should even be a goal. I think that should be just what we normally get every year. Last year we got a 7% of student turnout, which for being a non-contested election was pretty good, but still we do still believe there's a lot to do. The current Board of Elections have done a great job trying to bridge that gap between different communities in campus. Some of the ideas that are coming from this coming election next week is that we're doing different type of competitions between fraternities and sororities. So whoever organization votes the most will get free tickets to block party, or RSOs that whichever organization votes the most will get $1,000 in promotion items. So we're trying to find a way. Also, we did a partnership with the register office in which they're going to give us a set amount of early registration spots to also give to students and encourage them to keep voting as much as possible. Coming a little bit from communications, we are a student association. We have been a student association for a couple of years now. We do believe that the acronyms SA doesn't really represent, or makes a little bit confused our campus, and one of our communication problems come from that. So hoping to get that to that 10% will also make us change to Student Government Association that aligns more with national legislation, national student governments, and be able to communicate better.
Have you had discussions with the administration about changing your name to SGA?
This is a constitutional change that was proposed last year. It didn't pass because we didn't get to the 10%. So we haven't had, in the last couple of weeks, conversations about the one coming in, but it's technically the same thing that we did last year. Just we're trying to do it once again.
Herman, last year you mentioned that food availability, specifically late at night, was a concern of yours for students here on campus. So which steps has your administration taken to address these issues?
Oh, yes, thank you so much. First of all, of course, as I was saying, the grocery trolleys and the grocery buses is a huge initiative that we do, and we shouldn't stop doing. We take more than 166 students every weekend to their local grocery stores. But of course, we're trying to figure out ways to not only have this service. what are other type of ways that we can make sure that there's not food insecurity in campus. And food insecurity is one of the biggest issues, not only for our campus, just for the greater Syracuse community. There's ideas in the table right now and things that we're working on. I want to shout out the Community and Government Affairs Office and Student Association, led by Luis Gomez, that is currently working on bringing farmers market into campus, and we're going to do a test trial this semester to see how it works and work with with local vendors, support the local economy, but we're also bringing students fresh food and another way to access to more food options. We're also working with the dining services we have almost bi-weekly meetings with them in some of the changes and ideas that we're bringing to the table and some of the feedback that we get. And as an RA,
yeah, as an RA, this is a concern that I hear a lot from my residents. Maybe the food's not up to par, it's not what they want, and even sometimes dietary restrictions are a huge part of that. And so, yes, definitely we've built this relationship with admin that have allowed us to kind of be closer with them and also get the residents' concerns and voice their concerns to administration. And going off of that also, there's, back to that forum that I mentioned before, we really want to encourage students to use that form, utilize that form, give us the specific time, the date, what dining hall was it that you had these issues, because dining hall catering, they actually look at this form, not just student association, but the actual administration of it, and they're very receptive of the feedback, and so we kind of just want to build off that and really let the students know that their voices are heard, especially when it comes to these dietary restrictions.
Yes, and to expand on the dietary restrictions, I think that one of the main things that I learned this year is that we get this form that a lot of people submit their feedback in different areas in campus, but we have noticed that a good amount of this, I want to say 50% of the problems that we get are problems or issues that there's the resources to fix them, and the university have put the resources to help the students. So it's just about understanding. I feel it's just about communications, and I think, for example, when we're talking about dining restrictions or dietary restrictions that a student may have, they need to know that there's a dietitian in campus that can work with them in their specific schedules, in not only what they are allowed to eat, also in just their preferences, and they can work with their chef at their local dining halls in order to make this food. So, for example, this is just an example of things that I feel that a lot of students doesn't know about, and we just need to bridge that communication between administration and the students.
Great. All right, now we're going to have a little fun. It's time for our lightning round. You guys will have 60 seconds to respond to each question.
Let's start with the first one. How do you view yourselves as leaders?
That's a great question. Thank you for the question. Me, myself, I believe that leadership is more than just a title. It's more than just saying that you're a leader, going into these spaces and talking and leading a group of people. I think it really is at the root of who people are, and speaking for myself, it's at the root of who I am. Between the different organizations I monitor, the role of being an RA, I really see that one of my biggest strengths as a leader is listening, and I think it's also an underrated skill as a leader, really sitting down and listening to your team. When you lead so many different people, there's so many different dynamics that come into play, and as a leader, you genuinely have to know not only how to address these, but to really relate to them on a deeper level. And so when I think of myself as a leader, I think of myself really enabling those qualities about myself, listening, resonating with people, and being that voice for them and that thinker on the other side of it.
And I think it's not only about our own qualities, I think it's also, I think a good leader, like the definition that I have for a leader for myself is that finding those qualities in your team, finding and getting and making your team shine and making them grow into their positions, making them grow into who they are academically, professionally, socially. So, yes.
What is one life experience that's helped you in your position on student association?
I feel probably for me it's immigrating, just understanding that my family left everything behind to give me a future for myself and to give a better outcome for my life. And for me, that life experiences have made me take advantage as much as I can of every opportunity that this country and this university has put in front of me. Personally, we both are part of the Positive Leadership Scholarship, and it's a leadership scholarship that is awarded to high school students with leadership potential in Miami, Florida, to come to Syracuse University with a full tuition scholarship. So I strongly believe that every day I wake up owning something to this university, owning something to the culture and campus that, so again, we just wake up every day trying to give as much as this university have given to us.
What are your favorite on-campus memories?
I want to say that I was talking just about this yesterday. I think the core memory of my campus experience is the solar eclipse last semester. I think genuinely was a life-changing. I never seen campus so packed. I never seen students so hype about such a wonderful thing to see. I've never experienced that in my life. But I think just every experience and every laugh and every conversation we have in the Student Association office, the Student Association office has really become my second home. I sometimes feel that I spend more time there than I spend in my own house, but definitely the people in Student Association are amazing, and I get inspired by them every day, and I wouldn't be blessed to have the best team in this campus.
For me, living in the multicultural LLC my freshman year, I think to Hedman's point, coming from Miami, it can be a bit just kind of hard to not only from coming from not being in college to being in college, but also just coming to Syracuse University compared to Miami. And so being in that multicultural LLC, I met so many different people with diverse backgrounds who thought so much differently than me. They looked differently from me. And so being able to, and they're some of my best friends till this day. We're going 3 years strong. And so all of those memories that we've had since freshman year are honestly they're at the root of who I am. I think all of those have leveraged different interests of mine and different just understandings. And so those shared experiences within that multicultural LLC my freshman year has definitely been a turning point for me here at Syracuse University.
We'd love to get some recommendations from you out of this question. Where is your favorite place to eat, whether it be on campus in Syracuse or in Central New York?
I want to say, I heard some laugh around there because it's a famous student association spot. We love to go eat in this place in not that far from here. I think it's like 5 minutes away from here. That is called Queso Birria Tacos. It's genuinely some of the best tacos I've tried in my life. I've been to Mexico. I've been trying tacos in Mexico, but this taco really reminds me of just that feeling of being in Latino culture, and I love that food.
This may be very basic, but margaritas. I love margaritas.
We love Mexican food, as you can tell.
Yes, I honestly go at least once a week. It's just my favorite part. The tacos, those steak asada tacos, they're too good.
I also want to say in campus, definitely the new spaces in Newhouse in food.com are amazing. Jealous and forgot the name right now, but the other Indian place, both of them have been kind of like a go-to for student association every time we are hungry and need to leave for office for 5 seconds. So we have talked to dining services about the good job they did picking those options.
You know, I don't know why we decided to ask this question before we ate dinner, but anyway, now I'm hungry and kind of want a taco. But keeping with the kind of dinner pun, I guess, what quality do you each bring to the table? So you can pick one thing, one quality that describes you best and why.
I feel for me it's resilience. I have lived through many life in a way. I feel that my story is unique, and my leadership skills and the ideas and the culture and the knowledge that I bring to the table is not easy to find, or not. I feel a lot of people like me, the odds are against them to become student body president by one day, or to come to the university like this one with a full right tuition one day. So I guess resilience, just understanding that there's always something to fight for, there's always something to look forward to, and if you put your heart, your passion into it, you're gonna make it happen.
I think mine is determination. Whatever goal I set for myself, whatever is on my agenda, I'm going to get it done. I just become so passionate that I'm so determined to just get that done. And I think that lends way in so many different avenues of my life, not just with leading organizations, but even in a family dynamic, a social dynamic, academics. Just determination is something that I'm very passionate about, and that I just feel like is a driving force for me as a leader, and that I can see in so many different, just the way that I work, the way that I think, the way that I listen. Determination is really at the root of it.
One of the most satisfying things about your role, I'd imagine, is seeing something through and kind of having that success at the end. What is the most satisfying moment you can think of in your role working with Student Association?
I feel I mean, when it comes to actual satisfaction, when I feel that I had an impact, I don't feel that we have done events, we have done initiative, we have done things that have come amazing, things that doesn't have come that beautifully, but I think the part that makes me go to sleep happily or makes me go to sleep with a smile, well, like with a smile on my face, is that when there's a student who comes to you that admires the work that you're doing or admires the people or say a good comment about someone in your team or a good comment about something that they did, coming from that, we just had the 44 Stars nominations come out. 44 Stars is one of the main awards that we have in campus for student leaders, and Student Association did amazingly this year, and that moment really, really makes me proud of the leader that my current amazing vice president, Rick Granger, and I have done with our team, but also just the amazing, passionate people that we have in Student Association. When it comes to actual initiative and events, of course, I think last semester with Marcelo Hernandez, that was just a huge thing for campus. I love to see students being really excited about the work that Student Association was doing, and not only impact them on an advocacy way, but also impact them in a way for them to understand that college is about having fun. College is about understanding, about learning, and if we want to learn, if we want to build connections, I feel it always should be with a smile on our face. And yeah, and I feel with Marcelo Hernandez, a lot of people went to sleep that night with their smile on their face, and that really makes me happy.
Yeah, currently it's Multicultural Week. It started on Saturday and it's been going through this week. And I would say that's been a huge thing for me. It's the first week that I planned in Student Association. This is my first year in Student Association. And so seeing that week start from 0 ideas or just ideas and now actually seeing it turn into this whole week. Tomorrow's the last event. The collaboration that we've done with different registered organizations on campus has also been a huge part. Getting involved, just being so hands-on has really been one of the key highlights for me, and being able to see this week come to fruition and knowing that me and my team put in so much work to make all these events happen. 8 different events over the course of the week, and each one targeting a different demographic, and seeing the culture and the excitement that has come out of it has been so, so rewarding. And yeah, I just can't wait to not only see more and do more, but really just become better in my role and learn more throughout all of it.
Well, that does it for this lightning round.
Romana and Janice, thank you so much. When we come back, we will hear from your closing statements. You're watching the Student Association Executive Debate on CitrusTV.
You're watching the Student Association Executive Debate, presented by CitrusTV.
Wrapping things up here for the 2025 Student Association Executive Debate, Herman Olivos and Janice Faison, you have 2 minutes for your closing statements.
Thank you.
Once again, our deepest thanks to the Board of Elections, Citrus TV, and the NVRC for making this possible. Tonight, we've shared a lot. Ideas, plans, and a vision for the future. Our vision for all. We know it can feel overwhelming to think about all the work that lies ahead, but let us be the first to tell you, change is possible, and we are making it happen. Every feedback form submitted, every student who walks into our office seeking support, these moments are proof that we are turning ideas into action. Our vision is simple, to make Syracuse University a place where every student feels welcomed, heard, and empowered to shape their own experience. This election is not about us, it's about you. It's about every student who has ever felt overlooked, every voice that has gone unheard, and every issue that has been ignored for far too long.
We're not just asking for your vote, we're asking for your trust, your partnership, and your belief in a vision for all. A Syracuse where every student belongs, every voice matters, and dreams come true. But here's the truth. We cannot do this alone. No one can, to be honest. Change is never the work of one person. It's the work of a community. Progress through government is like a wheel that must keep turning, and each of us plays a role in keeping it in motion. If someone stumbles, we lift them up because progress depends on all of us moving forward together. So if there's one thing I want you to take from tonight, let it be this. We will not slow down. If anything, we're only gaining momentum. But meaningful changes is only possible when we work together, step by step, side by side. This is not our vision, it is yours. And together, we will be a Syracuse that truly reflects a vision for all. Thank you.
Herman and Janice, thank you both so much for your time tonight. We will now welcome back Caroline Ridge to deliver a final statement for this 2025 Student Association Executive Debate here on Citrus TV.
Thank you to everyone who came and everyone who watched online. I would again like to extend my gratitude to Citrus TV for partnering with us on this event for the past 4 years. I would like to also thank all the staff in the Student Engagement Office and for all members in Student Association who have helped to make this event and this election cycle successful. I'd like to remind everyone here, everyone watching online, and all students at Syracuse University and SUNY ESF that voting for the spring 2025 election will begin this coming Monday at midnight and will continue through Friday, April 4th at midnight. On the ballot, you have president, executive vice president, comptroller, and assembly members for various schools, which include various contested assembly races, as well as an important constitutional referendum. I encourage all students to check their emails, our social media, and make sure to vote and spread the word. Thank you.
Caroline, thank you so much. Well, that concludes the 2025 Student Association Executive Debate here on Citrus TV and Orange Television Network.
You can follow us at Citrus TV News on X and Instagram. Now for the entire Citrus TV News team, I'm Ronnie Parrillo.
And I'm Peter Elliott. Have a great night, Syracuse.